All right, here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for whatever discipline that you sit from. My name is Marvin Coleman, and I am here with Listen to Understand. And I have a panel of guests here today that's really going to knock you out, blow your socks off, all that other good stuff. So I want to go ahead and go into the introduction of who we have. So if we're looking to my very far left, which would be your right, we have D. Ebenezer, who's an entrepreneur.
Yes, sir.
Right next to him, in between the two of us here, is Lanice Germany of Livio's Culinary Services. To my direct right, I have Ebony Cruz, the digital creator, marketing expert extraordinaire. And then, of course, for the second appearance, we have Daytiana with Everything Ego. How you doing, my dear?
I'm doing well.
You know, they're going to start talking if we show up more often to get...
Well, what are they going to talk about?
Oh, it's some behind the scenes.
I know, ain't nothing behind the scenes going on. I'm just saying, people going to start talking. That's all I'm saying. Start talking.
Okay. Now, you better make sure you're ready to handle what comes over
I ain't ready.
You know you're not.
I'm just throw it out there right now. I ain't ready.
You're not.
See, what you do is you set the expectations low so that...
Oh, no,
even if you come in high. All right. Thank you.
Well, listen, ladies, continue to leave it high. Don't bring it low.
No. That free game, like
so, let's get back into it. Wasn't it?
Okay, then.
It's too much.
He
It's
tried.
too much. I did try.
A for effort.
So listen to understand, this is a show about all topics that we're bringing here today, and we have people in their different disciplines from where they come from. The topics necessarily won't relate to them in regard to discipline, but relates just in living life the way that we live life. So we want to talk today about children and discipline and what that looks like, as well as get into disciplining children and dating and what that looks like as well. So we're going to queue up a couple of questions here. It's going to be an open forum so anyone can answer these questions. And because of the organic nature which we do this could go in a lot of different directions. So we're hoping that you guys really enjoy the conversation here. Again, this is Listen to Understand. And this whole program is about really educating, uplifting, entertaining, and all the things that we do in order to live life well. So let's go ahead and just start with it. Let's throw the topic out there in regard to discipline. I know that being African American from the South, discipline was done in a certain way. I don't know how many of you are from the South or whatever, but I remember the strap, definitely. I remember the belt. I have not had the occasion to be victimized by the extension cord or the coat hanger or anything like that. But I've heard stories, my mother was very much a talker. She wanted to talk about, she wanted to get an understanding of what made you do this thing that has caused this disruption in our peace. And then she would become capital punishment from there. Whatever needed to happen, that was just mom. My dad was more the quiet storm of the scenario. He didn't want to talk. Once he got activated, he was like Voltron. He's like, boom, activate. Now he's just on you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And my dad being the type, my mother in that talker, and she wants to understand, and she wants to be in your face. Help me understand what's what. But my dad wasn't like that. My dad, he didn't even want you looking at him. If he took the opportunity to talk to you about something, he didn't even want you looking at him. So if you're dealing with mom and dad, you better know who you're dealing with. Who am I looking at or not? It was a very interesting childhood, I will say. Now, me being the excellent child that I was, I didn't have to be disciplined as much. I was very, very appropriate as a child, but there were those times where I thought I might lose my life. It is absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
Well, I'm a military child. And
did you say militant child?
Military.
Oh, military.
Child.
I'm sorry.
I heard militant.
Kind of military.
You heard that too? Yeah.
Military child. My father's from up north, New York, and my mother's from down south. So obviously a different background in that space.
Sure.
I'm the only girl and the baby. And so discipline was different for myself.
Being a brother of 3 younger sisters, I understand the lack of discipline.
No, I received discipline. However, I received it in different capacities than my brother. They were, of course, more strict on him. My father, however, was strict on me in this case of where they selected my homecoming date. They selected who I went to whatever with.
Like
Wow.
arranged.
Yes, they were in
Wow.
that space.
Yeah.
My dad was in that space.
I was kind of feeling like that myself. Right?
Yeah, my mom was more lenient, more so let her be her, you
Right.
know, because how she grew up or whatnot. But my dad was just like,
The dad was in the military?
he was in the military.
Okay.
My mom, however, she worked for the federal prison system for about 20 years doing education for those to prepare them for life after prison.
Okay.
So that's what my mom did.
Re-entry program.
Re-entry program. And my grandmother was a foster parent, fostered probably roughly about 45 kids in her lifetime.
Wow.
And so it was just always people around.
Mm-hmm.
So my grandparents was like, I said it, you do it, no questions asked.
Mhm.
So summers at my grandparents' house was rough. We would go
Right.
and be like, why are we being tortured every summer
boy.
to come up here and sleep in this basement with zero AC? We have to go in this garden and pick stuff that we have not even seen grow. Like, what did my mom, what are they doing? What are they doing? Zero electricity. Like, it was just different for us in that
Yeah.
space. But my parents were super hard on me to where my brother just got like, it was just easy for him.
Mhm.
For me, it was
Why do
like,
you feel like it was easy for him?
he just was giving everything. I worked a tad bit harder.
Give me an example.
Vehicles wise, I had to pay my car payment
They
and
gave him a
insurance.
car.
They gave him a car.
He's
Gave him
older.
3 cars
He's
to be
older.
exact.
Now,
He's older.
He's older. Okay.
Yeah. You know, it was more strict on me with my classwork, me with my schedule. I always had a packed schedule. So it was sports, education, sports, education. That was my world
Mhm.
all growing up, you know. And so when I decided to finally have my first child, I was in college. We weren't married. And it was like, what are you doing?
Breaking all the rules.
Like
Breaking all the rules.
Broke all the rules, right? I don't know. Corey, bless his heart, rest in peace. He has passed away at this point. But however, he had enough gut to go to my parents like, your daughter pregnant. And I'm the
Ooh.
dad. Like,
Wow. Wow.
yes,
Okay.
it was.
Brave.
Yeah.
Right, he
Man,
was. To this day, super respected. But the way I raised my children, especially my oldest, she's 18, coming out of high school now, and her dad is the child's father that passed away. He passed away when she was in 4th grade.
Okay.
I'm super supportive of where she wants to go.
Mhm.
It's not mommy's decision.
Sure.
You can't do this because you're a girl, or you have this restriction on you, and my son doesn't have this restriction.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, I'm telling you to go to this college, or you're going to play basketball, or you're going to run track. It's what do you want to do? And throughout that, her being the age that she is, overcoming her dad's death, she's 18 in real estate school, has about 7 college offers right now.
Wow.
That's
Academically amazing, and living life on her own terms,
Mhm.
not anybody else's. If it doesn't make sense for her space, then I support 100%. Now, I also make sure she understands the logistics of her decision,
Mm,
because there's always consequences to her decision.
for sure.
So I parent in that space where I tell her, I had you when I was 19.
Mm-hmm.
Those were consequences.
Mm.
Things that I wanted to do, travel,
Mhm.
be that flight attendant, going to military here and there after college. You can't do that at that point because I had a baby,
Right.
and the military wouldn't allow you to leave your child behind. And so I tell her, this is how I want you to understand mommy's life,
Mm-hmm.
things mommy has done,
Mm-hmm.
jobs you've seen mommy show out and just quit. And then the next 2 weeks, we're like, what we going to do? Because your mama got an attitude and left these people jobs.
Wow.
Right. Live your life in a way that would you understand the decisions that you're making, but you think about it, it's calculated. We're intentional about our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And when I grew up, I wasn't intentional about my life.
Okay.
I was going with the flow. And that's how I raise my kids differently. I don't do a lot of whoopings. I don't do a lot of, I may yell, scream here and there, but typically I take away things that matter to them. You know, that phone, that recital you wanted to go to.
Right.
Those things to make them understand, like, life doesn't give you anything. No one's going to be nice to you. You know what I mean?
I think that's probably one of the differences in parenting now, is that it just appears that, and it's just by default of what the world is, that the kids have so much more now than what they had back then. So many more choices, options, access. So even with discipline, there is a bit more to work with in the equation, more so than just that physical discipline or that restriction where you're in your room. You're at the point to where you can actually take things. And kids nowadays have thousands of dollars of electronic
Possessions.
equipment in their rooms, in their pockets.
But
that
they
you
have
can
access to knowledge. We didn't have access to knowledge like that. We had to go by what our parents said, and we believed it.
That's that.
When it comes to credit, our parents told us about credit, and that's what we believed. We didn't have access to the knowledge that they have access
It's
to.
at their fingertips.
They can research
Yeah.
anything. So it's no longer because mom said so. But why did mom say so? Let me
Absolutely.
Google search
They got a
if
reference.
what this makes sense.
Yes.
You know, so they have access to knowledge, which allows you to have to pivot in your parenting because now you have to consider the knowledge that's out there and why you're putting this discipline in place.
I have a stepdaughter who is 32 now. And she, when she was younger, and she had told a teacher that her dad, me, was on drugs.
Ooh.
I wasn't on drugs, of course, at that point. The story basically...
Disclaimer.
I used to drink.
You was off on by
I used to drink. That's right. By the time that teacher called, I was
off
off.
on rehab already.
That's hilarious.
So I used to drink IBC cream soda all the time when I was shot. That was my favorite soda to drink, and I would keep it in the refrigerator. And when she was in kindergarten, they had someone come in and talking about drugs and talking about how beer was drugs. And she thought what I was drinking was beer. So she associated to, my dad is on drugs, right, as well, too. And they called about it, and I had to try and explain it to her, you know, no, this is root beer just like anything else. Just because I say you can't have it is because you're 5 and you're, you know what I mean? And so after that, I asked her, so what do you know about drugs? And she says, well, you take it, you get sick, and then you die. And as a parent, I was like, yeah, that's about right. That's pretty much what it is. But later on, I thought about it, and I said at some point, she's going to happen upon something that pushes back on information, friends who use, who don't die, things like that. And I made the decision early that I need to go back and correct that and give her more information because I didn't want to lose credibility as a parent by allowing some misinformation to hit the table.
Right.
Oh, I got 2 kids. I got a son and a daughter. My son is 18. My daughter's 11. I raised them 2 totally different. Totally different. I grew up in a household with 2 kids. It was me and my older brother. Just like with me and my older brother, both of my kids are 7 years apart. It's weird. But
Yeah.
Came back around. But my mother came from a huge family. She got like 14 siblings.
Wow.
And she was a iron fist. You know what I'm saying? But what happened with myself, like my brother is a grandmother's baby. She had him very young, so my grandmother was like, he's mine.
Yeah.
You know, so by the time I came around, he was very hands-on.
Sure.
Like, we gonna raise this one how I want to. You know what I'm saying? So I seen for a period of time, like where my brother and my mother, it was more like brother and sister. And she really didn't like that because of the level of respect that you receive. And she was one of the people, when she said something, you gonna pay attention, or she gonna pop you.
Right.
And it was like, I think from her coming from a household with that many children, with her being hands-on, it was like her way or the highway.
Right.
So that's good and that's bad. Because when I got 6 foot at 12, I'm bigger than you. So when you pop me, I'm not scared of you no more.
Right.
So once I learned to take that lick, why am I still listening to you? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So with my kids, and I saw that effect on me as a person, especially as a black male.
Right.
Like she said, she had an attitude. Well, I had a horrible attitude because I think too, all of those whoopings, I think like at 8 years old, I got beat every day.
Oh, you was bad.
I had whoopings on reserve. Like,
Wow. That's when your mom be like, I'm going to get you for the old and the new. Like the old and the new. What?
So by the time I'm like 16, you know, like I've been in so many fights because that same mentality of you gonna listen to what I say, I'm gonna pop you is what I was living out because that was my upbringing.
Right.
Sure.
The other side of her punishment was like, and it's not to say she was a bad person. This
Right.
is
That's how she. Yeah, that's what she knew.
Yeah, that's what she did. But the other side of her punishment was like, which worked tremendously for me and my brother. When we got in trouble in school, we had to read. And it wasn't like, see, I didn't grow up in a household with the internet. We had Encyclopedia Britannica on my 80s baby. So we had to read like the newspaper.
Right.
We had to give her a summary on what we read.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had to,
I remember them days.
find specific key words like behavior and tolerance because we were misbehaving, being intolerable in school.
Yeah.
We had to spit back to it what those words meant and how it affected us. That made me a thinker. So that portion of it was good, but like I said, as you get older, and me raising my son, especially when he first was young, boy, I did not play with him.
Yeah.
But at a certain point in time, I felt like I don't want my kids to be scared of me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I don't want to say something and it's like, oh shit, there's that. You know what I mean? I'd rather them respect me. Like, I need to listen to what my father is saying.
Right.
I didn't spank him a lot, but he's probably in a total of maybe 5. But I think it was one point, he was like 12 or 13. And you know, they all smell themselves.
For sure.
Feeling real fly, and I had to pick him up off his feet.
Yeah.
But from that moment, even then, I felt like that was too much. You know what I'm saying? I felt like that was way too much, but I was extremely upset. And his mouth was way too big at that time for my liking.
Right.
So, but after that moment, I never touched him again.
Yeah.
And what I started doing was having conversations with him, like how you said your mother would ask you, why do you do that? So you get a better understanding for their comprehension. Because when they go to school, you ain't gonna let no teacher touch them.
Right.
You have to be able to talk to these kids where they understand, like she was saying before, a cause and an effect.
Yeah.
You can do something. It's your choice.
Yeah.
You have free will. But there's going to be consequences after that. Whether those are good or bad are based upon your actions and your decisions. With my daughter, that's my baby. Ain't no
That's how it
spankings,
is,
ain't nobody
right?
touching her. It ain't none of that. I've never even had to raise my voice at her, but she's a sweet child. So she's more like when she was growing up, her thing was, am I going to get in trouble today?
Yeah.
So if she felt like she was even going to get in hot water, she ain't doing it. Even now, she's 11, she's in 6th grade, she's a straight A student, she's high honor roll, she got advanced classes. I feel like that love, because like, I'll give an example. My mother wake us up, hit like, y'all get up. It's traumatized.
You ain't up, right? You have
know what I
to
mean?
process.
So now, as an adult, I'm not a morning person.
You hate it.
I'm not with it. I'll talk to you after 12. You know what I mean? But I
I
have
ain't
a whole
12, not 10.
listen, I come at 6 a.m., but I have a whole routine. I don't want to talk to you before then. But that's because of that.
Yeah.
I know that. So with my daughter, putting her to sleep, and even with my son, I love you, good night, sweet dreams, all these affirmations.
Yes.
When they wake up, I don't click on the lights. I go kiss on the forehead to wake up.
Yeah.
Give her something where it's not that same feeling.
Yeah.
You know, it was for a while, like I said, I was fearful of my mother. But when that left, then what?
Right.
Right. What you
know
gonna
what
do?
I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't ever want her to feel that way. So even just having conversations with her, I see it works.
Yeah.
But they're not short conversations. It's me asking her, how's your day? What happened in that day?
Right.
Before she go to school every day, I tell her you need to think for yourself. So that it's embedded in them not to be followers too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My son, like I said, it was a little different because me and his mother are totally different on how we raised things too. So where I turned to a talker with him, she was more like, but she was only 5 foot.
Right.
So the same thing with him happened. When he got to a certain height, now when she calls me, he's out of state. It's, you need to talk to your son. No, that's our son.
Right.
Remember before when I had these conversations not to do this, I already walked those steps. And then you have to also, if you're co-parenting, remind that person that y'all are co-parenting.
Parenting.
For sure.
Right.
It's not a possession thing. It's
We're doing this together.
Baby. This is for the betterment of
Our
And
son
I
or
find
our
that
child.
so often, especially with the structure of what family is right now, because it's a lot different, and you do have parents who are parenting children from 2 different places, physical places, and sometimes through, different places mentally and educationally and all of that. And it makes it so difficult in those times because sometimes, children being children will do the splitting between the parents. Sometimes the perspective of the rules there are different than what happens here. So there's almost like a
you turn a good cop, bad cop.
Right.
One of the things I try to do to correct that is I would have them come spend the summer with me. So you get 3 months of time. You might get 9 months with your mother, but you're gonna get 3 months with your dad, and it's not gonna be like boot camp when you come with me. I'm gonna let you be
Right.
yourself. I'm gonna see who you are as a person, and whatever area that you're interested in focusing, I'm gonna support the hell out of it.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So it can make you feel like you're doing what you want to do
Right.
versus being told what to do
Yeah.
by every avenue of your life.
Right.
And it makes it, he's a well-rounded individual. I'll be proud of him.
Right.
So
You baby.
I'll be amazed.
I'm trying
Right,
to tell
right.
you.
I did good. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's just, but him and my daughter are totally different.
You know, it's an interesting theme that's kind of developing between, disciplining and raising children and the difference between male and female, how you raise your boys versus how you raise your girls, whether you're a father raising a boy or a girl, or whether you're a mother raising a boy and a girl or a girl, and the differences. And I personally definitely think there is a difference in how you raise all children, because all children are different.
They
You don't
are
have
Why do
that
you
cookie
think that
cutter.
is? That's what I'm going to ask you.
With how I raised my son, I can actually answer yours. So growing up with my siblings, my mom, for a very long time, she was a single mom.
Right.
And it was us at home. I was the oldest. So when she was at work, it's dinner, help your siblings with their homework.
Sure.
If one of them gets out of line, you do the discipline.
Yeah.
Like, it was really rough, which is why I took the course of not disciplining my son as far as like, there's no belt.
Physical.
Yeah. No, because with my brother, okay, when we were younger, if I popped you, I used to feel so bad, but I didn't know what else to do. If I'm calling my mom at work and she's like, girl, I am doing a double. Handle it.
Right.
Don't call me at work again. Y'all have it under control. Okay, now I'm popping you. And I look at him as an adult. I love my brother, but I'm like, I wonder if when I popped you, did I hurt you?
Right.
Like,
Right.
you are a male.
Right.
We already have seen our men get beaten down in society. So with my son, I'm like, I'm not gonna take that approach. I don't even care if I gotta go to therapy, if I gotta relearn, whatever it is, because although we did come out good, I just don't want my son to feel like, I'm always thinking about slavery. They beat our people.
Yeah.
I don't want you to think that you're not gonna see me with a man who beats on me.
Right.
So in my mind, if I won't be with a man who puts his hands on me, kicks me, drags me, why am I going to tell my son, I love you, let me fight you? I it's nothing against anyone. If anyone physically, spanks their children, I'm not judging anybody. I just say, for me, I just take that approach, and sometimes I'm short and I'm like, hey, son, please give your mama like 5 minutes because it's not you. And I tell my son that, I'm like, I'm working through so much and I want you to have the best emotional intelligence. So if I ask for 5 minutes, you are wonderful. I'm trying to figure out how you came out the way you came out. You are like beautiful to me. So just give me 5 minutes. And I have to tell him that. And I'll go sit down, I'll regroup, and I'm like, okay, now we could talk about what it was, why I felt like that was wrong. And his dad is very, very, very patient and very, like, he's a talker too. He'll talk to him, but he's a good child. So I'm not beating a good child. Like,
We definitely want to get with Lanice and talk a little bit about the aspect of discipline and what we're talking about, because I know that you have a few children that you have, and I know, like I said before, discipline often is different for each child. So I want to get your perspective on discipline and children.
Thank you. So I have a blended family. We have 6 combined. I have 2 older stepboys, ages 23. My other stepson is 21, and then we share 4 together. So ironically, with your topic about stepkids and blending families and things of that nature, I by no means am no expert on at all. But if you had told me when I was younger that I would have 6 kids, I would have told you you're a goddamn liar, right? Because I grew up like you, the oldest child, and much like you as well, we kind of have that similarity. I was the disciplinarian to my siblings, but I was overall a really good kid because I feared my mother more than I feared the police. And when I say fear, I don't mean fearful of like life,
Yeah.
you know,
You
or
just
anything
knew don't
like
play
that.
with
But
mom.
I knew not to play with my mom,
Yeah.
For
right?
sure.
And she was the youngest of 9. but I mean, she was the baby, she was spoiled, but you know, and my grandfather was a preacher, and so like it's a whole. I grew up church. I grew up, you know, not like you
we
don't.
might be related. There's so many similarities here.
Listen, the spare the rod, spoil the child verse.
You
equated to discipline.
I got
so
it.
if I spare the rod, that means I'm gonna get in trouble because the Lord told me to whoop your butt. And, you know, and so and I that's what I grew up believing, right?
Yeah.
I fast forward to being a mother now, in my 42 years of living, and then having these 6 amazing kids. All of my children are amazing. My stepsons, and I don't even use the word step, I'm just saying this for the sake of the conversation.
Your bonus kids.
Yeah, but I mean, they're my kids. I even take the word bonus out, unfortunately. Because for me, when I met my husband, we've been together now 17 years. When I met my husband, because I knew that you had children coming into this relationship, I did not hold any of that against you. So my thing is, I'm not coming into y'all's life to take your mother's role.
Sure.
That's right.
If anything, it's just a little more love for you to have, right? And so, and then I think I made my husband a better father.
For sure.
In real life, to me, right? So when we had kids and blending all of that, my boys were accepting to their siblings. Like they're way closer than I could have ever even imagined, and I value that. I have conversation with my kids. Like when they're toddlers, I carried the ruler and the pop. That was my little pop stick, because don't act up in this store.
Right.
Don't embarrass me.
That's what I was literally just about to say. That don't you embarrass me. We're not gonna do that. You know, I'm not gonna. I look at other people's kids and I be like talking my child.
Right.
No.
Remember, I have that look.
That right.
I got it.
The look was everything. I will look at another person's child.
Me too.
Yeah.
To correct them.
To get it together.
Like,
get
they
your
over there.
That's that
like-
community though.
Right?
That's the community support.
But you know, you mentioned something. I think that feeds into that, and that's how we make each other better as far as our parenting. As two parents parenting this one child together, we make each other better, because if I am the parent who's kind of the quick-tempered hothead, and I have that spouse, co-parent who's balanced and more talking, it allows me an opportunity to kind of relax and do the same, and vice versa. So I think it's designed for us to be made better through that relationship as parents.
So with multiple kids, when you have, I mean, you've got 3, Ebony, with multiple children, and you have your 2, you have to meet them where they are. Like I'm still, my husband and I, we share at the end of the day, what your word is, that's my word. No child. No child, not my stepkids, not even our own kids that we share, has the power or the authority to come between us.
Right.
And so as long as you and I are on the same page, the rest will follow. And that was a rule within us as husband and wife that we did not compromise whatsoever. So even through the phases of life, because when they're toddlers, they're different when they get to middle school. And then middle school is very different than high school. And then, adulthood is even worse. Right? And so, and I had to learn over time to relinquish the control. Little by little. Little by little. That's it. Because you do have to now, I hope that
what I
hope that you take that into the world. But I have absolutely no control over it.
And once you give that up, and you realize life is grand. Let me tell you something.
It's hard for y'all as women to do that, as mothers to let go.
Well, I'm going to say, okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to say this. For me, it was almost impossible. But I have to share the simple fact that one of my 6 children, who is now 14, and Ebony's son, Lo, and my son are very close. They're like BFFs. My 14-year-old son went through cancer and chemotherapy 2 years ago.
Wow.
And so going through that, and I thank God for the cancer, because it changed everything about our home. It changed everything about the way we move, the way we think, the way we be, right? My husband and I grew closer. I realized that as a mother, I can absolutely do nothing about this. This is in your hands. And so relinquishing that level of control, relinquished all control.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because now everything is just, I have no control over.
Right.
I have no control over anything. I hope that you behave in school. How you say your affirmations to your kids. Mine is make God smile when they walk out the door. I don't compromise my mornings for work and
Right.
business no more.
Right.
I give my kids the first. I set you up for success.
Yeah.
Sure.
The rest of the day is up to you.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
That's why I
and
put
that
my
you're
son out of
leading to
school.
kind of how you deal with your children exterior to the discipline
Yeah.
Right.
should fold into the level
Yes.
of discipline that you
It does.
deliver as
It
well,
makes
too.
them better kids.
It makes
It makes them better.
And it's a process. Like when people are watching this, I don't want anyone to feel bad if they don't follow our models. Because
If they feel bad, that's on them.
trust
Oh, don't get it
me.
twisted. I still
Yeah.
want my car.
I'm trying to tell you, like, if I got to put my foot in your back, I'm
I
gonna
have
put my foot in your
moments.
back.
Listen,
Right
I say
now.
no, and I look, and I'm like,
Because I will. Don't let
I
this
have come a
cuteness
long
fool
way,
you.
but let me tell you something. I'm quick when it comes
But
to
I'm
that.
glad that there's the level of diversity
Yes.
in topic and in how we discipline in here, because I think that that's necessary. And we don't have enough conversations about how to do it and how to do it well.
open conversation.
Because,
open
well, the thing
conversation.
about it is
Yeah.
that
Right or wrong way.
because
Yeah.
there's not a right or wrong way. You know, my parents and stuff. When my oldest, when her dad died,
Mhm.
she's in the 4th grade.
Mm.
In the 4th grade, and I want to say maybe 3-4 weeks after that, her period comes on from
Oh,
the amount
wow.
of stress
Oh, man.
Wow.
that she was dealing with.
Yeah.
So me, I'm sitting here like, what? I'm trying
Get
to
ready.
tell you.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here like, how do I can't even ask my mom for advice on this. You didn't raise your children and their dad was deceased.
Mhm.
So you don't have advice to give me, technically.
Right,
You
right.
can tell me, perk up, Ebony, you can get through this, but you don't know the everyday that I have
that
to see her
Yeah.
and have to, other kids are saying, why is your dad not here?
Mhm.
Or and she's in school and have to say, well, my dad's dead. Like,
Right.
you don't have that experience. And so for me, parenting, I went a whole nother route. I went therapy, and on top of that, ironically, I'm crazy in this space, but I took in 4 kids that was even my kids
Wow.
to avoid them from going into foster care because of their parent situation.
Yeah.
So me having this big heart, I'm taking
Yeah,
on
that
4
from your
kids.
mom.
I don't even know these 4 kids, you know. I just, no matter of fact, the crazy part about it is I got my license to help my mom with fostering, to be a babysitter for her.
Yeah.
I'm partying. We are about to go turn up, making Ciroc cupcakes
That's right.
Wow.
as we were partying for my homegirl's birthday, and they
Those
knock
sound
on the
good.
door.
Right.
Knock on the door and bring 4 children to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Where did these kids like? Wait, whoa! The lady like, I gotta go, but here's their folder. Take their packet. There you go. I'm like, wait, hold on, but we trying to go. We trying to turn up. Right? My mama got my other 2. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these 4.
Right.
But it was a different situation that I think I was even 27 years old, 26, 27. I was young. I'm trying to figure out just this situation. My
Right.
son's father and I were going through a massive separation that was out of this world.
Yeah.
And so at the same time, you're still trying to be you. Now you're trying to raise these people. There's 6 different personalities.
Mhm.
Everyone's going through their own tragic experience. Her dad's gone. They're dealing with, both my parents are separated, and these white people took me out my parents' house. So how do I even make sense of that? Meanwhile, my son's trying to understand, well, why y'all ain't together no more? What's
Right.
going on? You know what I'm saying? Like, that is all that is happening in one space.
Yeah.
And so when my mom and my dad are telling me this, that, this is how you're gonna have to run your household. No, I run my household on a lot of structure. Structure is the foundation of my household.
Yeah.
But there's intention behind the structure.
Sure.
Everyone's not going to get the same therapy or the same lesson. You know, each kid has a different space that I have to
Yeah, you do.
navigate with them in. And my oldest, when her dad died, that was the main thing that I remember just saying, how am I going to raise her to not use my dad died as an excuse of why I can't be successful, or as an
Right.
excuse of why I can't do anything,
Yes.
or I'm a victim because people live in that victim mentality. And what we don't understand is we're all dealt this hand of cards. Everybody. You just got to figure out how to play your hand.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna hit good moments. You're gonna pull some good cards. You know how you playing? And you're
Yeah.
gonna roll.
Oh,
You
for
like,
sure.
right?
Yeah, you
But
ain't
then
gonna
you
run
know
that
how-
Boston every
Right.
time.
But then, sometimes you pick a hand and it's a bad hand, but you still gotta play it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that was my thought process, and behind teaching my children was I don't want to be afraid, you to be afraid of me. I don't even want to be your best friend.
Yeah.
You know,
The balance.
I want to be able to show you that my life, my mistakes, my things that I have done. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You can choose to be wherever you want to be.
Yeah.
And just so y'all know, all 3 of my kids have different dads. Nobody's the same. So this military family, picket white fence, parents this, that, and the third. Your daughter got 3 baby daddies? Yes, she does.
So again, we could talk about all the different aspects of how different our children are, and when it comes to discipline, even as we've had this conversation, oftentimes when it comes to discipline, it's about listening to understand, and that's what we're doing here. That's what the show is today. Listen to understand. We've had a great panel here and a wonderful discussion. I wish we could go a little bit further. We might have to roll this back.
I just want to
you know
say something before you close out.
Sure.
For those who have yet to have children, I think that taking some time to really understand that other person that you're engaging in that could potentially be your child's father or your child's mother, understanding their parents and their upbringing and who their grandparents are, how they were raised, their religious beliefs, their credit beliefs. I like all of that makes a difference. The cuteness goes away after 5 years. You know, after 5 years,
I'm gonna
he's
stay
not
cute after 5 years. I'm gonna let you know.
But what
anybody
I'm saying,
interested,
the
I'm
way
gonna be
you
cute
the way
after
you
5
crunch
years.
your chicken wing may not be cute no more because now we live in life. But think about those things when you're creating these new families, because there are a lot of young people who are having children because it's cute to have this baby, or I want to lock him in, so let me get this baby. Yeah. But there's a lifelong of responsibility when you bring a person in this world, because God blesses each of us with children for a reason, and it's our responsibility to guide them. And so before you do decide to say, we're going to have this baby, or I accidentally got pregnant, whatever the situation is, understand that other party and be willing to compromise that your way of being raised and going to church may not be his way. And that's okay. But whatever makes sense for your child, be open to creating new traditions for your children with your spouse. And I think that we will have some more understanding, better foundations in our home with our children. Not a lot of, at my mama's house, I do it this way, at my dad's, but think about those things, because raising someone and being blessed with the opportunity to have 6 children, 3 children, 1, 2, it's an amazing opportunity that when I leave this earth, I have someone that's carrying a whole piece of me in there. And I want to ensure that they're the most effective person while they're on this earth. And so just think about that when you're deciding to have children. That's
trust your process and treat your kids as though they are human. Because sometimes we're like, I'm the mom, I'm the dad, like this is the household. But they have feelings, emotions, their feelings get hurt. My son will tell me, like, that hurt. I'm waiting for an apology. That hurt my feelings because I've opened that door for him. Growing up, I wasn't allowed to say that. It was whatever I say, I don't care how you feel, this is the road we're taking. But my son, he can tell me, Mommy, your voice was very loud. Like, I felt like you didn't like me in that moment. And he's allowed to write that in his journal. I don't care who knows it. As long as he's getting that out and he's not putting it inside and suppressing it, baby, tell me what else you feel. Because I'd rather treat you as a human, love on you, than to read about you as a statistic.
Sure.
Just do you. Treat him as a human and take your time. Be patient. And grace, you said that. Grace is very important.
Grace, absolutely. Appreciate that, Datiana.
For me, allowing yourself to learn from your kids. I grew up where the adults, you do what I say, not what I do. You do as you told, and so there wasn't a choice. You weren't given a choice. There was a choice. It was do this or else, right? But having multiple kids, and honestly, I have to give the credit to my stepboys that I mentioned earlier. They taught me so much about myself that equipped me for my own children, right? And so just allowing yourself to learn from your kids, like you don't know it all. Right. And in this world, there's so many different phases. Like I rely on my kids to teach me, even down to technical things, So like I'm the student most times to them. But the additional things that I would also say is to allow yourself to learn from your kids is to free yourself from obligation. And that's an internal thing. And so if like I said, I'm a woman of my word. If I give my word to my children, then I own that word. But with having multiple children, I can't be everywhere.
Yeah.
For sure.
I love a clean house. I have no desire to be the one cleaning it. So do I have a housekeeper? Absolutely I do. Do I have some assistance when it comes to picking up my kid? Absolutely I do. So I'm not obligated to now be and do every single thing that all these people in this house requires. I've got to take care of me first, which enables me to be a great mom to you, which enables you to be great kids. And great kids out of the home as well. So just freeing yourself from obligation and allowing yourself to learn is priceless.
Beautiful.
Thank
beautiful. Do you have Ebenezer?
I think just in closing, not too much. I'm in agreement with everybody else. I think two of the most important things in my experience, because I don't think there's a perfect parenting handbook. So from my experience, I think communication and understanding that your children are not like your little drones. It's not a dictatorship. They're actually people. So you have to basically learn them, and your discipline is going to be the parameters of how they socialize outside the house. That's going to have to be how they process how to deal with other individuals in the world. So that time with them is very important. And speaking of time, make time for them.
Absolutely.
Be present. Not on your phone.
Right.
Oh, my kids get on me all the time.
No, you saw me. I said,
they will take my
present.
phone. Mommy, you're not listening.
Oh my God. I'm real big on being present. I'm real big.
I say that too, but not just for them. On the reverse side of that, when they get grown, like as an adult, I lost both my parents, 06 and 2012. So to be an adult and feel like an orphan, you get what I'm saying? So make time
for sure,
because my memories come from my time.
Absolutely. Very true. Not the tangible things. That's so true.
And I'll add, and I'll speak specifically to men as parents, to please engage with your children. Not just specifically on the discipline, and that's whether you are in the home, whether you have custody of your children or not, but as a man, to be present, and to be a part of the upbringing of that child. Sometimes, and this is of course speaking to couples, just because a man wasn't a good husband doesn't mean he wasn't a good father.
That's a whole other
conversation. Any more than because a mom wasn't a good wife made her a bad
persecuted.
mother.
Because oh my God, that's a whole other conversation.
It's really important as a father to engage. And one of the things that I looked at, especially with my boys, and I think it's for me, it was an awesome responsibility and a weight even at times thinking about having to raise two African-American men, right? Because I know what it's like to walk in this world in that skin. And I understood the aspect of discipline from where I was coming from, because I said, I want to be able to discipline my boys with love, because they will receive discipline out here in these streets without love, right? And I wanted to make sure they understood the difference and how to shape that as well too. So in disciplining, I made sure that I disciplined with a level of love, and that there was an understanding, a total understanding of what you were being disciplined for and why. And all of that discipline was matched with the relationship that I had with my boys. I had the rapport to discipline because I had a relationship there. And I encourage fathers, engage with your children. Your engagement is a critical part of being able to deliver that discipline with respect and understanding and all those things that you need to. And if you can do that, and if you have nothing more than a conversation, then listen to understand. And that basically is the show for today. Really appreciate you guys for joining us here. And we're going to have some topics really coming back. Please hit us up in the chat wherever you're watching this video from. Let us know what you like. If you got topics that you think, man, this would be a great topic, or you want to run a topic back, feel free to do that, because the more information we have from you, the more better able we are to serve. And that's exactly what this is. So thank you so much for joining us here. Again, this is Marvin Coleman with Inkwell Pictures here, rolling with the Listen to Understand. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you.